All right, hello and welcome back to Arcade Calvacade. Today we have Soul Cresta. Now let's just reset so we get rid of those terrifying credits and we can take a look at the intro. So Moon Cresta, where is that coming from? Why would you play this game? Well, it turns out Platinum Games is making a game called Soul Cresta, coming out soon, and it's based off of Nichibutsu's Moon Cresta and Terra Cresta. So hey, in celebration, why don't we take a look at one of these games, or both of these games? So as it turns out, they are part of the Hamster Arcade Archives on the Switch, so all it takes is just a small payment, and this game too can be yours. Now, I've previously used this series for the Neo Geo games, way back in the day, but I've never actually played one of these arcade games. So before we start off, why don't we take a look at the menu? So you can create what they call a game interrupt save data. I call it a save state. You've got some display options. So this option, you can have a white box. You can kind of see it in the background. You can have a white box around the display. This is not necessarily something I would be interested in, but it comes in handy for if you want to position the display, because then you can see the white box and you can kind of see, are you getting full screen? You can also choose the size of the display. So you can make it a little smaller, you can make it a little bigger. And so you can see with the frame around it, you can see just when it's fitting your entire screen. You can change the orientation. So if you wanted Tate, if you were so inclined, I'll keep it with Yoko. The other way around. And then, so there's this wallpaper. So, okay, off. You see how there's absolutely no, it's like an eternal black void to the left and right. But if we go back here, turn it on. If you look back at the black void, well, now there's this white line. It's almost like I don't know, it's some sort of solar eclipse or some sort of effect. It's better than nothing, literally in this case. So I will keep it on. Display settings, scan lines. Oh, well, first off, the display. So it's called scan lines, but really what this is how do you want to handle your pixels? So square pixels are an abomination, so we need to get rid of them in any way, shape, or form. So if you choose soft, you really get rid of them. And if you choose sharp, you kind of get rid of them. Honestly, sharp is fine, but as I grow older and older, I'm becoming more and more addicted to those soft scan lines. Buttery smooth. Scan line thickness. So if you set it to 0, you got no scan lines. You set it to 9 or 10. It doesn't go to 11, unfortunately. I mean, you're getting kind of a nice effect. Of course, you're watching this on YouTube. Here are your 9 or 10 lowest scan lines. Of course, you're watching this on YouTube where everything's going to be perverted anyway, so I don't know what good this does you, but at least on my screen, this looks kind of good, but I don't know. Personally, I think 3 is about the effect they were really going for. As far as game settings, you can change some game settings. I don't want to mess with that. I want a perfect, complete arcade experience, just like I bought it up and booted it up myself. Ignoring the fact that if I was an arcade operator, first thing I would do would jack up the difficulty so I can get those quarters. Ooh, what is happening here? I accidentally pressed A. So, don't press A, press B. As far as button settings, here you can map the settings, you press A, you scroll through. Now, as it turns out, so Moon Cresta does not have a lot of buttons. You have your shoot, you have your start, you have add credits. The big 3. So I guess Space Invaders, you can read the manual. I prefer to learn by doing, but if you don't, here, it's all here. Oh, cool. So you actually get like a little flyer or something. Well, that's good to know. Online rankings, well, we'll get there eventually. You can reset all settings to default, and you can reset the game. So with that being said, oof. Well, this too is informative. So you can play the original mode, just give me the ROM. I'm too lazy to boot it up in MAME. You do it for me. Caravan mode is usually some sort of timed, like, get the score in 5 minutes. At least for the Neo Geo games, they straight give you 5 minutes and they're like, hey, get as much score as you can. And high score mode, you get 1 life, play through, get as much high score as you can. you know, let's play high score mode. No save states, no saves, no cheating. Otherwise, everything is completely set up. I don't know why this is being cut off. So, I mean, as you might expect in score mode, you don't get a lot of options, but oh. So this is a funny quirk of score mode. No pausing. No pausing. I mean, no saving, sure, that's one thing. No pausing, though, for high score mode. So if you pause, unfortunately, your run is over. You better reset. Okay, that's cool. So with that being said, finally, I don't know, 3-4 minutes into the game, let's see what Moon Cresta has to offer. Oh, it's playing for me. Oh, nice. How convenient. Well, the game begins, as one might expect, in the era of Space Invaders. Ooh, geez. With some alien invaders, you have one shot. Looks like to be Galaxian rules, so you shoot, and you can't shoot again. Thanks, Galaxian. Thanks for giving all these other arcade games limits. Oh, interesting. So usually in these spaceship games, you defeat the enemies and you get to move on. But here, it looks like you have to defeat the enemies to move on. Now, you might be saying to yourself, oh, big deal. I don't get it. Well, when they move past you, then they respawn. And so you have to take care of them. Now, this might seem a little disorienting until you realize if you played Galaga at all, you've basically done the same thing. It's just this game handles it in a bit more of a trippier fashion. Because, like, here they are just going off the bottom of the screen and going back up, but, like, they're basically just having a party up there. I don't really understand why they're, like, kind of popping back in this way. Well, I mean, I guess if you think about it in Galaga, they kind of had a very regimented pattern. But I don't know. With Galaga, it was more like, it's more like a marching band, you know? Or maybe like some sort of platoon standing at attention. So there, it was like, I don't know. They had a formation, but they were on the clock. Whereas this, it's like, they're just doing whatever they feel like. This is a party. They're having a hootenanny up there. Oh, come on, man. This is like the weirdest reimagining of Galaga I've ever heard of. I don't know what Soul Cresta will be like in any way, shape, or form, but... Oh, and now we have to dock. This reminds me of that one weird Galaga clone I played. Oh, no. Oh, okay. So, now it's Lunar Lander controls. Okay. Sorry, no bonus. Also, no life. Insert credit, pal. Ay. Well, I like how on one hand our docking clearly failed, but like we get 2 shots now anyway, so like I guess that's a success. Ay. This reminds me of that one time when I played the like Galaxian clone that had like 3 different gameplay styles. So you get like this with the bonus rounds. I really don't know how influential Galaga or Galaxian was back in the day, or even Space Invaders for that matter, but given that all these games seem to love it, it does seem very influential. Okay. How many lives do we get? There is no visual indication of lives. Sorry, I thought it was docking for a second there. So, is there a 4th ship? all it needs is a little display message. It's like having squandered all your ships. The Earth was destroyed. Oh, man. Okay. Now, so how do I... Okay. So if I restart the game, what happens to my score? Ostensibly, I set a score, right? Did I? This is hard to know. So I will say this about the arcade archives. They may have a lot of them, but I maybe they don't entirely have everything together, working right. I mean, hey, they're on a rough schedule releasing one of these a week. They can't be bothered to go back and fix it. What is the deal? I could have sworn I, like, submitted the score. Well, I beat him. Well, I beat him. I see. So you get 3 lives. But then once that's it. That's it. It reminds me of this one time when, like, I kind of saw Pitfall: The Mayan Adventure for the Game Boy Advance. Well, I guess the version I saw was for the Game Boy Advance, but of course the game originally came out, like, I don't know, Genesis earlier. It's scary to think about how old things are, and then how often you can re-release them. But I kind of saw some pictures and kind of hallucinated that I knew how the game worked. You know, standard gamer stuff, really. And so I hallucinated that you were playing as, like, Pitfall Harry and his, like, 9 generations of family. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay. This at least seems a little easier. Again, lunar lander, so you don't get enough thrust to go up. Right on. Hey, you heard it from the game. You don't even have to scrutinize it yourself. I did perfectly. Also, now all of my lives are in one spot, which seems perilous, but hey, who am I to argue against Moon Cresta's crazy moon logic? But anyway, I hallucinated that, like, you had 9 generations of Pitfall Harry, and so you start with Pitfall Harry the First, and then you go to Pitfall Harry the Second, and you go to Pitfall Harry the Third, and eventually you run out of Pitfall Harrys. I like how it starts off with this, though, just kind of reminding you what's at stake. It's like, oh, by the way, this is your last ship. So, are we gonna start a score? Is this... Come on. Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, so I'm pressing down and absolutely nothing is happening. This is before they invented the direction down, so you have to actually use left and right to move to where you are. That being said, it does look like you can... Yes. Heck yes. Yes. Register the score. Nice. Usually in the past, it would, like, show you your score on the right, and it would show you a live feed of, like, where you rank, but it's not really doing that. Well, whatever. We don't need to compare ourselves to other people to have fun, even though I do. Huh. So now I guess it's about time to finally pay attention to the game itself. I mean, the game is annoying, I suppose, but if you compare it to, like, what you've seen in Galaga, like, it's not even that different in a way. I mean, if you're not used to this sort of weird world of, like, 80s shoot-em-ups, basically at the dawn of arcade games, then you don't really know what's normal, what's not. Well, let me tell you, it's a little weird, but it's not that weird. I mean, Galaxian, I don't know if you've played it. Hopefully you've played it. If you haven't played Galaxian, then, like, you basically have no frame of reference. Hopefully you've at least heard of Space Invaders, but if you have not... Oh, so if you mess this up, you straight up lose a life. Wow, this game is... I mean, I'm tempted to say it's tough, unforgiving, but no. Oh, come on. At least if you get first, then, or the first player, you get a 1 ST. Okay, are there continues? Like, what is the deal here? I mean, I guess high score mode, if it's not even gonna save our high scores, then there's no reason to play it. I mean, I guess it's more just for keeping you honest, no save states, but, like, honestly, making save states is kind of annoying anyway, so I don't think I'll bother. Alright. Caravan mode, it's just the exact same game, but with a timer. Like, this is something external that Hamster added in. So, that's fine. I don't really mind the, like, I can live without that. So, Now let's play the game as it was meant to be experienced, with infinite credits on an arcade machine where you can continue if the game decides continues were invented at that point, and if they weren't, then you can't, of course. I don't know what kind of goal we'll set for ourselves here, because it does seem like the third wave where they, or no, not the third, fourth or so wave when they just like zip right down at you. That is, on one hand, that is some BS. On the other hand, I'm kind of curious what they do afterwards. Is it just more shapes and stuff? Holy cow. Also, I'm kind of surprised, like, why would Platinum Games take a look at this and be like, yes, this, I want to make the follow-up to this. Like, I can't imagine this game was terribly popular, although, of course, having this, like, transforming robot ship is probably the sort of thing that'll capture the imagination. Even if it doesn't necessarily capture the quarters. But then, so you've got this game. I don't know, what was this, like, just one of the head developers, like, favorite games ever? Or, like, when he was growing up in the Japanese countryside, like, this was the only arcade game he had in his local arcade, and so he played the heck out of it, because apparently, I don't know, maybe they didn't have Space Invaders, and he's like, man, Space Invaders is great, but all I've got is Moon Cresta. That's good enough for me. I wonder if this guy, like, crapped his pants when he heard, like, Terra Cresta was coming out. Okay. So, you'd think you could just go straight down. I mean, the enemies move pretty fast, and, well, I guess they don't shoot at you, but they ram you. But, like, docking is way scarier than anything the enemies have to offer. I'll say that much. I mean, Lunar Lander is a pretty good game, but jeez Louise, I don't need to play a minigame of Lunar Lander while I'm playing my Space Invaders. Okay, sorry, Galaxian. Although, whoa, jeez. Okay, so easy peasy. Maybe you have to shoot both of them to advance. No, they're changing. So it looks like we're making forward progress. Slow though it may be. And here goes that third ship. Just in case you don't know what's at stake. The answer is your entire quarter. This is the fate of your quarter. If you lose here, that's it. You lose. Not only will you lose some time. Oh, whoa. Is it me, or does this ship control a little differently than the other ones? Like, it feels like this ship is maybe the slightest bit sluggish. Did they really make it so that the different ships control differently? I can't tell if that's, like, a great idea or a terrible idea. Because, I mean, on one hand, like, okay, including that is wonderful attention to detail. And that part, yes. Oh, okay. And there is no continue whatsoever. But at least there's less visual clutter on the screen, so this mode is superior somehow. But, like, huh. Because, I mean, on one hand, yeah, adding in the different ship behavior. Okay, yeah, the first one, I feel like it is very zippy. Although, the fact that you're pretty high up on the screen, although if you think about it, because, like, the ship's dock, and the top ship is going to be at the top of your ship. So, it's more so that they only have to draw the ship at one position. Which is, like, a really weird... It's a weird, like, concession to have to make, but at the same time, I guess that makes some amount of sense. I think the whole point of this game is to, like, have each of the ships feel differently, and so when you're down to your last life, like, you feel it, especially considering that that ship is, like, slower, and I guess maybe it shoots more, but, like you're down to the wire, man. You die here, and Earth is donezo. Oh. So if you die, does it just like gives you credit? It's like, oh no, I see. The enemies just kind of patiently wait around. They're like, well, we're going to invade Earth, subjugate its people, and restructure its environment, society, and atmosphere. But, by Jove, when the humans send their ships to fight back, we're going to be fair about it. Oh, cool. So I guess you can actually thrust enough that you can go up. It's tricky, but You can do it if you're so inclined. Yeah, right on. It's harder every time. I will say that much. Well, this game, I mean, I don't know where it came from. I don't know what it's trying to do, but I'll give it points. It's not boring. I don't know if it's fun, but it's certainly not boring. What was that BS? What was that BS? Did you see that? I sure didn't. How many times have I used that joke? About as many times as arcade games have used the super cheap method of having enemies just like kamikaze you. Okay, well, okay, so here I was thinking, okay, I'll be smart. I'll use mind over matter. But as it turns out, standing still and shooting is not the solution to that. Good to know. Good to know. Trip to the Space War. Moon Cresta. Try it now. You can get a lot of fun. that scrolled by a little too fast to read on the arcade screen, but I've seen pictures of that in over, but it's like, you can have a lot of fun. That's so great. This game is like, try me. It'll be great. You'll love it. Oh, man. I mean, hey, if you're not going to cheer, if no one else is going to cheer for you, you might as well cheer for you. Like, if you're not going to cheer for yourself, who's going to cheer for you? Probably this game, though. This game seems like it's a fun little admirable chat. Okay, that was not something I was expecting. Jeez. I really have to know now, did this come before or after Galaga? Because I feel like both of them saw space. Well, okay. I'm assuming the order is Galaxian came, or no, Space Invaders came out. Galaxian was like, okay, let's do this, but different enough so that we can legally file a copyright. And then Galaxian was born. And then people saw Galaxian and they're like, this is way better than Space Invaders. I bet we can make a game that's also way better than Space Invaders ourselves. And then so everybody's trying to make like the next Galaxian, ignoring the fact that they could have made the next Space Invaders. I mean, I'm pretty sure some of them tried making the next Space Invaders, but I mean, once you see what Galaxian brought to the table, you're like, what? Not only is it like Space Invaders, but you can only have one shot on the top of the screen? That's a completely aggravating design decision from the player's perspective. But from from an arcade owner's perspective, they're like, great, yes. Why don't you toss in some more enemies that, like, suicide bomb them? It'll be great. Trust me, I'll make so many quarters. I mean, sorry, the players will have so much fun. Well, it's good to know at least somebody's happy. Okay, now that I've done this a few times, and you kind of see what's happening, I guess speed doesn't matter. Like, your dock can be coming at there at, like, light speed, but the game is just like, no, this is fine. Oh, that's kind of cute. That's actually cute. So I don't know if you noticed what's happening, but like, okay, so you get the double shot from the middle ship, but you also get the single shot from the ship on top. It's like a little Baby Yoda, and it's like you gave Baby Yoda a gun, and he's like, look, Mandy, I'm helping. And Mandy's like, yeah, sure you are. Sure you are. Okay. Time to deal with the suicide bombers. I like how I was just kind of having fun, kind of happily chattering away, and then all of a sudden, bam. No warning, no must no fuss, the suicide bombers just come out and bam, boom, that's it. No more fun. You can still play the game, just you cannot have fun. And that is an aggravating design decision. I mean, it really punctuates the whole experience, so don't get me wrong. Oh, and then you get this level, which is like... And of course they come back at the top of the screen so you can suffer. You can have a prolonged suffering. And of course, it comes straight at you. Well, okay, if you use your mind a little and like try to outsmart it, because like it goes straight down. Your shots are like left and right of it. So okay, you move to the left or you move to the right just a tick, and then you shoot. Yeah, you'll get him, no problem. But it's like, jeez, jeez. I guess, yeah. They send the suicide bombers, and then it's like, well, it's not going to get any better than that. It's not going to get any more fun. I also kind of feel like, I wonder if this could have been an inspiration for Galaga, or if it was inspired by Galaga, because you kind of have that sort of aspect where you've got ships docking and then combining, becoming one. Actually, I might be imagining this, but I think I read online that this game was actually inspired by the docking feature in Galaga. And so, okay, not bad. Wait, no, I think what I read online was 1942, like when you get the power-up where you get the little wing buddies and they join your ship. That was inspired by Galaga. I mean, on one hand, yeah, all these arcade games are kind of the same game over and over, slowly evolving, but it's kind of bad when you yourself lose focus and you can no longer perceive them as different games. Well, whatever. That's just how it goes. So, if we get the second ship on the third ship, does that mean we get 4 shots? Because in Galaga, it's like, okay, oh, you do get the double shots. I see. And apparently the bottom ship, it's like even, its shot is even a little wider, which... Can you imagine if you had all 3 of them on top of each other? Now that I kind of have to experience. I don't think I'll ever get to, but it's the kind of thing that you need to try at least once in your life. If only because that's how often you'll ever get to experience it. Ay, ay, ay. But it is pretty great how it's like Galaga. It's like, okay, in between each stage, it's like this sort of little bonus level where you try to shoot all the enemies and like you absolutely cannot die. You absolutely cannot get hurt. And I kind of wonder if like the arcade owners are like, this is complete BS. That means every round there's like a quarter of the time they just straight up cannot die. It's like, I can't make money this way. So, why don't you make it so that the bonus round, not only can you die, but it's also harder than regular gameplay. Ooh! I thought I had it. I thought I had the distance. I did not. This game, I mean, I think to a certain extent, you just play it over and over and over until you finally get used to its tricks. You get wise to its ways, but until then, it is pretty tricky. Yes, I do. I will give this game credit. Like, this is not a forgettable game. Like, if I played this back in the day, I would remember it. This game would, like, haunt my nightmares. I'd be like, could I beat Moon Cresta? Is it possible for somebody to beat Moon Cresta? Why would somebody play? Why would somebody exist Moon Cresta? Well, that's one way to clear the wave. It's funny, though, because, like, I mean, yeah, it's, like, it's difficult, but I wouldn't say it's at that, like, disrevered state of being cheap. Like, this is still very much doable. Like, if you're a person playing this, normal person, like, you memorize enough, you could probably get this going. Of course, I think they're going slow to, like, make up for it. They're like, dude, you lost your first ship in the first wave? That's pretty rough, pal. We're gonna go a little slow because we feel a little bad for you. Try not to feel too patronized. And it's like, well, I'm doing my best, but it's a little hard. Ay, ay, ay. Of course, they patronize me on the... Yeah. Okay, so apparently, yeah, speed, it can be going down at the speed of gravity, and, like, it does not matter. It will dock just fine. Huh. I don't know if spacing out your shots is for the best, or if you just shoot them all at once and hope you get lucky. I don't know that, like, strategy is necessarily something that you can do in this game. Oh, now that I have 2, in theory... Oh, I think if you get the timing down, then it's viable. Hey, after a while, it just gives up. So it's not even like a certain amount. It's just like, yeah, you've suffered enough. You've suffered enough. We're tired of watching you suffer. Let's just move on to the next stage. I mean, you're still gonna suffer, but at least it'll be more fair. Oh, and it's not even coming at me in a consistent way. It's just kind of doing what it's far out. Far out. Man, I played a lot of games that like insult you as you go along. They're like, oh man, you're a baby. C- rank. But this game is like, dude, that's awesome. And it loops. I guess it's just trying to mask its lack of content with a veneer of politeness. I mean, props. Like, it works. That's fair. I mean, if you don't have the skills to pay the bills, you should at least have the politeness to delight us. That almost rhymes. But if I'm polite enough about it, you'll acknowledge that it rhymes too. So, you beat the wave, and then the game resets. It just resets. It goes back to the beginning. Does literally the exact same thing, and just kind of relies on its own inherent difficulty to like whittle you down and like ultimately finish you off. But it just literally the exact same thing again. Huh. I mean, I don't even know how I feel about that. This game is like, it's too relentless for me to like fully emotionally process what just happened, but I think I should feel a little ripped off. Oh, well, gotta inscribe my glorious name here. It just repeats. I can't even. I need to. Oh, well, we should at least enter my score. I just need to, like, talk through it. Just process what just happened. Try it now. You can get a lot of fun and thrill. So it just repeats. And you know what the worst part is? Like, as disappointing as that would be if you found out that the game just repeats, then most people won't even get to that point. Because, I mean, between the triple whammy of the docking, the, like, immediate suicide bombers, and then the like, dive bombing guys, which admittedly aren't the hardest. It's actually the easiest thing. I say docking's the easiest out of those three terrors I listed. But I would say the diving enemies, it's at least viable, because, like, you don't have to just straight rely on your timing. I mean, reflexes. I guess you can kind of memorize the timing, but I don't know. Reflexes, that's one thing, but memorizing things for an arcade game? I mean, this isn't like a math test. Come on. I don't want to memorize anything. But so the game just, like, gives up and repeats. But I mean, at the same time, like, the game is pretty tough. So even though it's going to do the exact same thing, it's like sooner or later you're going to fail. Now I see why the game is so relentless. Why it's like giving you everything it's got right from the start. Because pretty much that is all it's got. And once you do it, then you could probably do it forever, over and over and over. I mean, I'm sure, like, I don't know, 4th or 5th loop or whatever, then it'll get, like, a lot harder. But I am not that invested in this game to want to see it. Well, and again, here I am, like, tossing shade like it's on sale, but you play Space Invaders, and I mean, it's just the one thing over and over. Now, that being said, like, Space Invaders, like, they do tweak the speed and the enemies and stuff enough that, like, it really does feel like a different game, level 1, level 2. And level 3, don't even get me started on level 3. It's harder for some reason. I don't know why. I can't quite articulate or discern what makes it harder, but level 3 in Space Invaders, oof. At least wave 3 in this game, it's like, it literally looks different. Now, after a while it repeats, but I mean, hey, baby steps, baby steps. Eventually, they can make a shoot 'em up where every stage is different. Don't Don't get ahead of yourselves, man. Don't get ahead of yourselves. And then once they get to there, they're like, where can we go from here? And I guess the only thing to do afterwards is to start making art with your bullet patterns. Until eventually it's like, okay, now that we make art with our bullet patterns and that's all we've got, what next? Now that you, the viewer, are going to have to help answer, because the shoot 'em up industry really doesn't know, and to a certain extent doesn't exist anymore. That's kind of tragic when you think about it. But what's not tragic is that Hamster has preserved this game for all eternity, or at least as long as the Switch eShop lasts. Well, I mean, again, you could also just download the MAME ROM and play that, but who pirates games? But Hamster has archived this game for all eternity, and you too can play it for the low price of, actually it's $9. On one hand, that's kind of a lot. I don't know that I would pay that. I mean, obviously I did. Oh, I never turned off the borders. Huh. Well, I guess now you know what it looks like if you leave the borders on in your game. I mean, honestly, there's so much action happening in the middle of this screen that it's like, you can't even notice the borders. If you've been bothered by the borders the whole time, it's like, you should try playing the game and then see if you'll even notice the borders. Actually, it's like one of those YouTube videos where they're like, oh, count the basketball players, and you have somebody in a bear costume walk in the back. It's like, oh, by the way, did you see the bear costume? And you're like, there was a bear costume? It's one of those deals. Well, I guess more back on topic. Okay. I now dare say I understand the appeal of this game, and I think I could understand why somebody would want to remake it. Although first, I do want to see what this was Moon Cresta, so now there's Terra Cresta. Apparently, this ship did not do quite well enough, and the aliens started invading the Earth, and so now it's up to Terra Cresta to like pick up the slack. On one hand, that'd be pretty funny if that was actually the plot, but on the other hand, like, given how hard this game is, like, I can understand. I can sympathize. Well, that'll be something to look forward to in the future, but for now, this cat's got a scat.